Entrepreneurship is the hardest way to make millions of dollars, and here's why. When you came out of school, you were told, oh, go get a job, or you can start a business, or maybe you can go do some passive investment like real estate or stocks. Being in business for 10 years and talking to a lot of business owners, what I've realized over the years was that entrepreneurship is the hardest way to do it. Let's start with the jobs. So when you get a job at a company, usually what happens is they tell you need to wait 1 year or 2 years before you get promoted. And then they give you milestones on, okay, do this improvement, and then you get promoted. So when you start your job, you start to learn skills, and then you try to build up your confidence, and then eventually you're competent at doing your job, and then you hope to get promoted. And sometimes in companies, you have very fixed positions and they can't promote you, or like that position doesn't exist, or they don't have enough money to raise your salary. And then you feel stuck as an employee. From there, what you do next is you either jump to another company or you try to jump for a higher position. And then you keep doing this for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And then hopefully you save enough money. And then by the time you retire, you have like a parachute of money. And then hopefully you can survive your retirement on that. This method works if you are like on a company that's really fast growth. So like something like one of the FAANG companies of like Apple, Facebook, Netflix and stuff, where they have stock conversations so that you can grow with the company. But you have to be like really skilled, and you have to be very lucky to like not get fired along the way. And like a lot of things need to be in your favor to make it happen. That way is the slowest way, but it's also the safest way, and you get the lowest return. Then you have entrepreneurship. There are two ways people do entrepreneurship usually. It's either A, like they come out of school very early in their career, they find a problem and they start a business around it. The other method would be, I've been in industry for 10 years, 20 years, I find a problem and I start a business. Both of these methods work, but the problem is when you do entrepreneurship, it's almost like you start from zero. So when you were doing a job, every year you work in the job, you get work experience, so it counts towards something, so you can ask for more salary. But when you start a startup, you have nothing, right? So you have to build up the tech again from scratch. You have to build up the standard operating procedures. You have to go get clients from scratch. You need clients to trust you. You have to build branding. So all this work is tied to you, and you have to figure out everything yourself. You can hire people to help you, but no one will ever care as much as you do. And you just hopefully someday you do the business for 10 years, and then maybe you can exit, someone will buy your company out, and then you make your millions then. It's a grind, and you may not even get to the exit. Or maybe a bigger company does something that's more complicated, like better than you, and push out business. A lot of stuff can go wrong between that 10 years. It's way more stressful than a job. If you go look at the stats, they say that 90% of all startups fail. Can you guarantee that you're not one of that 90%? So there's a lot of issues with being an entrepreneur. If your personality type matches this, then it's good for you. But for most people, it's a lot of pressure. The easiest way to get millions of dollars is actually to go into venture capital, investment banking, or anything along those lines, where basically companies need to merge, private equity firms need to buy people out, and basically you're there to broker the deal. Your job is more like to find the deals, or like to make sure the deals happen, and that's more within your control than to hope that the market has a place for your product. So the advantage of being an investor or investment banking or venture capital is that you can do multiple deals at once, and you always get a percentage of the value, versus the startup, you have to do everything and you take all the risks to build it up. And the idea is every year it compounds, right? So like every year you're in that business, you know more people, and then you can keep see more deals that other people don't see, and as long as you catch on to them early, you can get your return. The last way that people talk about is passive income, which is basically buying stocks or buying real estate. The issue with the stocks and real estate is that there's a lot of marketing people who say that, oh, I can make 50% return or 100% a year. And that's actually not very realistic for most people, because the way that passive investment works is that you make a percentage return on how much you put in. So for example, if you have $100, it's realistic that you can probably earn 10 to 15% return by the end of the year. So on $100, you make $15 at the end of the year, and that's still not enough to make you millions, right? To properly make use of stocks and real estate, you would have to have a lot of money to start with. So let's say you had $1 million and you were making 15% return a year. That's $150K. That's a way bigger impact than you have $100. If you're rich already, then doing stocks and real estate makes a lot of sense, because the returns are that much bigger. Now that I've explained the 4 different ways to get to millions, I'll recap what I talked about. So 1, if you go down the job routes, make sure you join the biggest, fastest growing companies out there, where you can get a percentage of the success through stock options or equity. But the idea is that you need to hopefully nothing goes wrong. You survive your career for 20 years and make enough money. The second method is you start a startup, you find a problem, and then you have to build the company up from the ground up, do all the marketing, do all the sales, figure out the product, and do all this work with a chance of hoping that you'll make it one day and then you can exit at some point. The third way is, you get into investment banking, you get to become an investor, where basically you can look at deals of companies and you either help them get acquired, or you help them sell, or you invest into them. And basically you are getting a return on your investment, and you can do multiple investments at once. And then the last method is do passive investment through stocks and real estate, but you need to have a lot of money to start with. Otherwise, it's not really worth your time.